Hiya. I'm going to do a really ocean blue glittery eye makeup today, just to add a bit of colour. I was speaking to Dawn the other day and she said, will I do some bright colours? And I'm doing a live video today with Jules Von Hepp in about half an hour. It'll probably be later by the time I upload this tutorial, but at the moment it's the middle of the day and I'm about to have that chat. And I just thought, do you know what? Like, as much as there's no real need to do a really bright makeup, there's every reason to do it at the same time just to perk yourself up, isn't there? And I thought Jules is so like naturally uplifting. It made me want to put a really bright t-shirt on. It made me want to get a nice bright lippy. And then I thought, right, Dawn's been after the brights as well. So a plan is coming together. Now my skin is a little bit more red and hot to the touch because I'm not long out of the shower. So I'm probably going to put a little more complexion on than I usually would because I don't want it to melt through. I'll tell you what I have been using if you are someone with redness. They're only cheap, these little kind of balls of glass that you keep in the fridge, and then you can roll them on your skin. I'll find the name and I'll put them in the description. Mine were from Dermalogica, but they are so good for just instantly cooling the skin. So say, I mean, I haven't got them to hand as I'm doing this, but this would be the perfect opportunity where your skin actually feels hot to the touch and you want to cool it down as well as alleviating the redness. They'd be absolutely fab. I'm gonna go in and set my base and put a bit of bronzer on before I do my eyes. I'm just gonna I've got an illuminating setting powder. So I'm gonna take it all over in the hope that I'm not gonna lose any glow, but it's gonna help. I'm gonna need that extra bit of help to lock everything in because my skin is a little bit warmer to the touch. And you'll notice I'm also taking this powder over the eyes as I did with my CC cream, and that's just gonna act as my primer for the shadows. There we go. I'll put a tiny bit of bronzer on while I'm here. This is a number 7 bronzer. I actually only found out this week, speaking of number 7, I'd been meaning to say this, they have an ongoing partnership with Macmillan, the cancer charity, and essentially I think it's 900 beauty advisors that they have in the UK have been specially trained on number 7 counters to help you if you are going through cancer treatment or you want advice specific to the side effects that you'd be experiencing. Oh, sorry, my battery just went low there. So if you know someone that's been affected or you've been affected, it's just nice to know that you do have that touch point available across the country, as just that there's someone that has been specifically trained with those needs in mind. I'd also advise you, if you don't already follow them, to keep up with Look Good Feel Better. They're a brilliant charity and they support women and men who are undergoing cancer treatment. The whole concept is that, you know, those small acts of self-care can make you feel really great if you're in that moment, and it's a brilliant charity. Okay, I'm gonna go in with some eyes. This is the Makeup by Mario Master Metallics. I've only just got this, so I'm excited to have a play with it. And I'm gonna use probably these 2 colours because why not on a Tuesday afternoon? I've not peeled off the little mirror thing. Things like that are always quite pleasing, aren't they? Okay, before I go any further, I'm actually going to do my old trick on a clean blending brush of some bronzer through the socket. Now, I always like to do this because I think it creates a really seamless blend, but also if you're going in with a colour like I'm going in with this blue, you don't want to get confused as to where your colours are going. The last thing you want to do is get lost with that blue and think, oh my gosh, I've taken it everywhere, or I've taken it in a place that feels too overwhelming. So I'm just going to take this bronzer to frame the look. And actually this particular kind of turquoisey, greeny blue works beautifully with browns. You often see it in clothing, don't you? Those kinds of colours often work well together. Those kinds of turquoise stones always look lovely in gold jewellery. So I'm just going to match it with something that'll pull it all together. Jules is going to be like, you've got an orange t-shirt on and green eyeshadow. Well, do you know what? He's not going to care, because who does care? That is the last thing on anyone's mind, I think, at the moment, what someone else is wearing. Okay, I've got a couple of different textures going on here. I'm going to start with the kind of gunmetal grey, because that green looks like a bit more of a glitter. I haven't had a proper play with it before I did the video, so I'm not entirely sure of the texture. These are blending really well, actually. So I've taken this gunmetal grey, I'm going to let it match that bronzer, but I'm not going to take it any higher than the bronzer. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just really buffing that in. Now you'll notice I'm kind of stretching my eyes and pulling my eyebrows and different things. That's going to be really good to just get into every little crevice of these eyes. So lots of the time I actually get asked, you know, are there tips and techniques that you would do to adapt a makeup for perhaps an eye with slightly more fine lines? I would just say, for example, how I'm looking down into the mirror or stretching my eyebrows or anything like that, just make sure you've pulled it nice and tightly so that when you're buffing your colour in, you're getting it into every little nook and cranny. Now, I actually really like that kind of gunmetal colour on its own, but that's not what I signed up for. So I'm going to take my ring finger and this kind of greeny. Oh my goodness, I love it. Now, the reason I've gone in with my finger is I started going in with my brush and it felt like the brush wasn't picking up as much product as I wanted. So if you want a really quite dense finish, it's often really good to just go straight in with your finger. Equally, on the flip side of that, if you prefer more of a soft wash, a nice fluffy brush will pick up less product at a time and enable you to build it to a point that you feel comfortable with. I'm very happy with that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I wonder how I'm going to measure this up. Oh, also, I got some of these reusable cotton pads because I've been using a lot of cotton and I know that's not the best thing. So I've been keeping the reusables and some micellar water by me when I work. So that works just as well and keeps everything in check. Okay, I'm going to take, it's not really picking up with a brush. I was going to take it on a small brush. It is actually, I'm going to buff into the brush the product and then take some of this under the eye. How am I doing for time? I've got about 5 minutes. So I want to start getting a little bit ahead of myself here. I'm going to buff some of that underneath, and I've actually bought in a little glitter to put in the inner corners. Again, why not, you know, something a bit more lively for the afternoon. I'm just taking this out in the corners ever so slightly. I remember Dominic actually, Dominic Skinner from MAC, this is a MAC 236 brush. He was showing me that he loves blending with this. And I was thinking at the time, but it's a flat brush, you know, how's that going to work? And actually, it's really great for just chiseling out those corners a little bit. Okay, tiny, tiny, tiny bit of glitter. This is the Victoria Beckham Blonde. And I'm going to take a little lip brush. This is a really unusual what would I describe this formula as? It's kind of, I want to say it's like jelly with glitter in it. That's not the right way to describe it, but it's a very unique texture, I will definitely say. So I've put some on the back of my hand, really worked it into the brush. And then I'm just going to put some on the inner corner of that eye. And do the same on this side. It's an instant brightener, and actually you can see by layering it a tiny bit over that turquoise, it kind of blends in quite nicely. Okay, first time going in with the number 7, the full 360 Ultra. I haven't, oh, it's a lovely brush actually. Kind of like a figure of 8, nice curvy lady. Number 7 was one of the brands a little while ago that I'd said, is there anything that you want to see more of that I'm not using? So I'm delighted to have some number 7. And I'll just remind you of that question. If there's anything that you think, why haven't I used it? Or you want to see how it works, or brands that you think I'm really missing a trick, let me know and I'll make sure I include them. Because ultimately what I would love to think is that you just end up getting tips for things that you've already got, rather than feeling like you've got to go out and buy a load of new stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing I'm always really keen to emphasise. I would love to think that you can just take all of these tips and apply them to something you've got at home, because we've all got more than enough things at home to be keeping us busy for the most part. Okay, lovely. Now I'm going to go in with some lippy. I'm absolutely delighted with these new Victoria Beckham lipsticks. So I'm going to go in with one of those, put a little bit of liner on to just even everything out. Maybe make them a bit bigger, you know me. And then I suppose the question is, how bright do I want to go? Part of me wants to put a red lip on, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just ease myself into these brights. I'm going to go, this is the one I'm looking for. I think I used this one the other day, Pout. It's kind of a pinky peach. It'll look quite nude on me. Nice with this t-shirt actually. There we go. And then I actually feel like I want a tiny bit of that as a bit of a cream blush. So I've put it on and I'm just going to take my foundation brush and soften that out and use it all over the cheek. That's always a lovely tip if you want your blush and your lipstick to match perfectly. Just use the same thing on both places. Now, did I put a highlighter out for myself? I don't think I did. I've got several over there that I can't reach. Oh, do you know what I've got? I've got a little bit of Peaches Pigment in Pearl, which is a very, what's the word? Luminous, iridescent pink. And seeing as we're going for a colourful theme today, why the hell not? I'm going to take this on a small blending brush. This is a MAC 224. It's a loose pigment. So I'm actually going to pick some up, again, set it on the back of my hand, and then just buff it into the areas where I want a little bit of extra luminosity. Because this is a luminous kind of pinky colour, it's really lovely to take right the way over your blush as well. And then I'm just gonna do a tidy up there. I've got a bit of drop down. And there we have it, something nice and bright for Tuesday afternoon. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching and I'll talk to you soon.